Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. Well, today is time for the full in-depth review of my Steinhart Ocean One Vintage Military. This is quickly become one of my favourite watches in my collection, and I absolutely love to wear it. I had known for some time that I wanted to experience a Steinhart watch. I'd seen a lot of positivity out there about the quality, the looks, the feel, the fit, the finish, the value for money as well. And a while back I was able to pick myself up one, and I really liked it. I liked it so much that I had to go out and buy another one, and this was that other one. I'd known that I wanted this sort of style one. I liked this vintage military inspired watch, but I'd had a couple of reservations about it. The reservations were about the watch, about how it would fit on my wrist. It was because I'd seen a few reviews about it that had mentioned a few issues about it. It had said that the lug to lug was a little bit big, that it was a little bit flat on the case, and that put me off a little bit. But I managed to be able to pick this one up on the used market at a relatively good price, and I thought I would take the risk and I'd buy it. And I'm so glad that I did. This watch has actually been out for some time now, so it's actually relatively easy to find them on the used market if you're interested in a second-hand watch. However, you can still buy them brand new from Steinhart from their official website for 420 euros, plus taxes, plus shipping. And even at that new price, I think they're actually very good value. Now, obviously, as much as I love this watch, I'm well aware that it is not an original design. It is very much homaging a vintage styled military Rolex. And I really like this Rolex. It's one of the only Rolexes that I'm really heavily drawn towards. However, if I wanted to go out and buy one of them, even if I could find one, which apparently is very hard to do, they are between $80,000 and $100,000. And I'm never going to spend that much money on a watch, no matter how much I like it. I certainly can't justify that amount on it, and it's not sort of something that I'm ever going to do. So this one here has all the aesthetics of it, but it also has some really good quality, has some really good fit to my wrist, has a good movement inside of it, and it ticks all the boxes that I need from a watch. And it was at a price that I was able to afford. So it sounds perfect to me, and when it arrived, it absolutely is. It is a watch that I wear very regularly. It is absolutely brilliant. I really am excited about it, and I'm excited about sharing this watch with you today. So before we flip the camera around, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please click on that button. I really do appreciate it. If you can take the time to subscribe, it does support me and the channel, and I do absolutely appreciate it. But let's flip the camera around now and let's check out this Steinhart Ocean One Vintage Military. Well, let's start off by talking about this amazing packaging that you get from Steinhart. I think it's pretty much the exact same packaging you get no matter what watch that you buy. You get a nice outer case, you get a nice inner case, very nice and pushy and fluffy and sort of secure. A great sort of case, especially at this price range. Definitely one of the best packaging that I've seen amongst watches, especially at this sort of price range. But we're not here to see the packaging, we're here to see the watch. And I'm going to say it is absolutely stunning. I love this watch. And one of the reasons why I like it so much is the dimensions. Strangely enough, one of the things that put me off this watch is one of the things that I like best. We are looking at a case diameter of 41.5 millimeters. However, the bezel is a little bit bigger, sitting at 42.5 millimeters. The width of the watch is 14.3 millimeters. The lug to lug, 50 millimeters, which normally is about the maximum for me, depending on the sort of the look and the sort of feel and the movement of the watch. But 50 millimeters, perfectly fine. We have a lug of 22 millimeters, and on this nice solid bracelet, sized up for my 6 3/4 inch wrist, we're looking at 177 grams. So it absolutely has a little bit of heft to it, but I quite like a watch around that 180 grams. So it's probably one of the reasons why I like this watch so much. It has a very simple dial on it. It has like a matte black with some white text, being obviously the Steinhart name, logo, Ocean One, the number 1 in the circle, 1,000 feet, 300 meters, automatic, Swiss made down there at the 6 o'clock, and some minute track on the internal bezel there. All the indices are just printed on with like a Fotina loom. We have polished hands with that Fotina loom within as well as that second hand is that nice polished, pushes right out to the edge with some Fotina loom too. Just a very classic looking dial, and I love how it has that vintage vibe to it without feeling too sort of stereotype vintage watch. Just a really nice balance. And that loom is actually really good. Let's check it out now. I'm really impressed, especially to watch this price point with that photina how good the lume actually looks. It is Super Luminova Old Radium, and I am impressed. It's certainly what I would hope out of lume from a watch. Over the top of that dial, we have a double domed sapphire crystal, and look how beautiful it looks. It's like a halo over the top, isn't it? It's just absolutely stunning. Around that, we have a bezel that has an aluminium bezel insert. It's black with silver sort of numbers on there. We have a little lume pip pearl there sticking up, as you can see. Really nice, grabby, grippy sort of bezel. And just like most Steinharts, very solid action. Very nice, feels good, but it has a real solid feel to it. To the point where there is absolutely no way you're going to accidentally knock one of these. Absolutely fantastic, no play whatsoever, up and down, back and forth. One of the most solid bezels I've ever felt. And I felt the same on my previous Steinhart as well. It's really, really good. Now, does it line up? Yes, it does. It might be very slightly to the right, but it's so close. No, I think it's good. You know, I'm okay with it. Now, obviously, there's no date on this one, but there isn't re-haut ring, as you can see around there. It is plain. It is brushed inside, just above that dial. The watch is predominantly brushed. Brush surface on the bracelet here, brushed on the top of the lugs, but it has a high polished along the edge, which then continues along the sides of the bracelet. It then flips back to brushed and brushed onto the back of the case as well. Speaking of the bracelet, it is solid and it feels good. It feels well machined, well put together, well fit and finished. The lugs are solid and they are absolutely solid. Absolutely brilliant. I really do like to have a good quality bracelet on a watch because it really lifts the way the watch feels and looks and sort of sits on your wrist. We have a signed crown that is semi-guarded. It has the Steinhart logo, and inside the watch we either have the ETA 2824-2 or the Fleiger SW200. They don't say which one exactly it is, but that is a movement that has hand winding. It does, let's see, it does have a ghost position, but there is no wheel inside there. You can't feel anything, but obviously it also has hacking. Now, as I mentioned, this is a watch that I bought secondhand, so it has had a bit of a life with me, but it's had a life with somebody else as well. And I find that always interesting then to see what it is like on the time grapher. Hopefully it gives you some good figures and it hasn't had a rough life prior to meeting me. Well, who can complain about a set of figures like that? 0 seconds per day, lovely healthy amplitude of 296, 0 beat error, and as you can see it's a high beat movement, 28,800 vibrations per hour. Wow, absolutely. Especially buying secondhand, I am very, very happy with those figures, as I think everybody would be. And that is very consistent as a nice, lovely figure there. Absolutely. Wow, 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 I'm happy. Let's talk a little bit more about this bracelet because I think it is particularly good. I really like it. There is a sort of something a bit special, something you can sort of just notice that the fit and finish is particularly good. It really is nice and soft to hold, to feel. It wraps around your wrist. There's absolutely no grabbing, no sort of sticking feeling at all. Very, very nice. Nice brushing, really do like it. I do appreciate it. It does come with the standard Steinhart clasp, which I'm actually very happy with. There's 4 levels of micro adjust. There's a safety clasp. It is one of these ones that you flick up from this side without any pushes. However, it is milled and I've never had any issues with this one. Other watches, I've found that I rip my thumb off every time that I do it. I do it with my long jeans, I do it with my helm watch, but the Steinharts is just a very nice experience to lift up. Works absolutely perfectly. Now looking through the back here, we can also see the solid case back. It has the nice Steinhart sort of trident, seahorse, man. Nice looking casebook, really cool. Shows you that's a Steinhart Ocean One, gives you some specifications as well. Very, very pleasant, absolutely. And on wrist, and on my 6 3/4 inch wrist, it looks brilliant. I really, really enjoy this watch. As I've mentioned, this is a watch that I've been wearing a lot because I think it looks fantastic. I like the overall aesthetics of it and I like how it sits on my wrist. And it sort of certainly sits perfectly on my wrist from a lug to lug perspective. You can see the bracelet coming away and out and around. The only sort of issue, I think, if you look at it this way, it does sit quite flat. So it does sit a bit high on your wrist. However, you don't notice it when you're wearing it. Very rarely are you looking down your wrist this way to look at it, But even if you do, it's not a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of. So what do I like about this watch? What don't I like about it? And what would I change? Well, there's some big things I like about this watch. I like the looks of it. I like the feel of it. I like the quality of it. I like the affordable price tag on it. And I just like how it sits on wrist. It really does feel like a very, very good quality watch. It certainly feels like a watch that should cost more than it actually does. And I do like the aesthetic look of this one. But there's a couple of things that I probably would change because there's not that much I dislike about it. But the little lume pearl pip, I'm not a big fan of that. I understand this is a homage watch and that is exactly what was on the Rolex, that it is homaging, so that's why they put it on there. But I think it would be better if that was sort of integrated into the bezel there. I do think it just sort of sticks out a little bit. Doesn't detract me from liking this watch at all, but it's probably something I would change if I had the ability to change it. As I mentioned, that case is very flat and it doesn't change how nicely it does sit on wrist, but if they did add a little bit more material just to curve it down a little bit to make it feel a little bit less flat, it would just give it even a little bit more of a bump of sort of a premium feel. And as much as I do like this clasp, I have to say I do always prefer the twin pushes, so if you could put one of them on there, I'd probably like it even a little bit more. But let's get back to me now. Let me give you some of my final thoughts about this lovely Steinhart vintage watch. So as I mentioned, this is a watch that has quickly become one of my favorites in my collection. And I know it's one of my favorites in my collection because it's one of the watches that I wear most in my collection. This, for me, has turned out to be the perfect everyday wear. I wear this in almost every situation that I'm in. And if I just want to wear a watch, just put it on, wear it throughout the day, this is my go-to watch. I really enjoy wearing it. I think it looks good. I think it fits well to my wrist. I like the quality, the fit and the finish. I like having that high beat squish movement inside there. And I just love it. There is just something about this that I really connect with, that I really enjoy wearing. And really, what else can you ask out of a watch than something that you love and that you just want to wear all the time? As always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch one of my videos. I really do hope that you take the time to watch some of the others. Hope to see you again soon.